Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Central Baltimore Partnership in the Station North Arts District, I would like to welcome everyone for joining us this evening for another segment of Station North Shines. This evening's programming will showcase the second component of the Asia North art installation titled Tradition, Memory, Transformation. This installation provides a contextual meaning behind the history of when the intersection of North Avenue and Charles Street was the epicenter of Baltimore's unofficial Koreatown. In keeping with the spirit of last month's show, I'd be remiss if I didn't reaffirm our commitment to the Black Lives Matter movement, which has enveloped our nation after the killing of George Floyd and countless other Black men and women, including members of the LGBTQ community. As we look for solace after a tumultuous few months, I encourage you all to listen to one of my favorite songs by Billie Holiday, one of Baltimore's greatest jazz singers. The song is titled Love Is Here to Stay. If we are ever going to move forward beyond this somber period in American discourse, we'll certainly need some love to find a way forward. I am confident we can do this, just like Billie Holiday did with her warm and invoking lyrics that gave us all hope, whether in the 1950s or now. Tonight's programming will include two segments that will spotlight Michelle Lee and Heather Chung, the unofficial mayors of Baltimore's Koreatown. They have been tireless in their efforts to ensure the history of the Korean American community in Baltimore City lives on. Without them, we would not have this culturally rich experience this evening. Thank you, Michelle and Heather, for your commitment to Koreatown and Baltimore City. We love you both deeply and are grateful for your guidance in making Asia North a huge success. Please enjoy the program. I would now like to introduce Joanna Bokuri, Director of the Towson University's Asian Arts and Culture Center, who will give an understanding of the collaborative approach that created Asia North.
Welcome, everybody. The Asian Arts and Culture Center at Towson University harnesses the powers of art and culture to combat prejudice, racism, and xenophobia, amplify the voices of diverse communities, decrease the spiritual distance between people, and illuminate what makes us one human family. As a co-producer of Asia North, we're thrilled to offer this program to you tonight. I'd like to briefly introduce you to a short history of this project and thank some of the key players. Asia North was born in April 2017 to promote intercultural sharing, support AAPI creatives, and celebrate local Asian American history. I had a conversation with Will Backstrom of PNC Bank, who told me about Jack at the Central Baltimore Partnership and Station North's double identity as a Koreatown and arts district, and suggested a partnership. Because we got so busy, it wasn't until January 2018 that we met to brainstorm about the project further. We had so many visions for the program, an AA and CC space in Station North, a pop-up exhibition, and a large neighborhood festival. Eventually, we decided that a month-long exhibition with a weekend celebration would be the best way to celebrate the neighborhood's art, culture, and Asian heritage. So then we used that framework to produce another Asia North for March and April in 2019. We built on our successes in 2019 to plan Asia North 2020. We originally envisioned a live exhibition and a festival with performances at the Motor House, an underground night market and graffiti alley by the Charm City Night Market. And this was all scheduled for April and May 2020. We were especially eager to have the exhibition, some performances, and art activities at 1950 Maryland Avenue, which is part of the North Avenue Market where the Still Point Theater is currently located. This location was the former location of the neighborhood's Korean Senior Daycare Center. So the space was especially appropriate for our event. You can learn about this space and other neighborhood landmarks on the Asian North section of the Asian Arts and Culture Center's website. But then COVID-19 arrived and we had to adapt our plans. So after shifting gears, we produced the Asian North 2020 exhibit online, and now we're sharing virtual experiences like this one with you. Jack at Central Baltimore Partnership is our community connection and our resource dynamo. He arranged for all the spaces, North Avenue Market, Still Point Theater, Motor House, and in our original plan. And now he connected us with Mara Dreyer at Station North Arts, who is the leading organizer of this event. Jack was also critical to curating tonight's event, arranging for the food and cocktail demos. The William G. Baker Memorial Fund provided major funding for the exhibition and was extremely gracious about allowing us to move the exhibition online. Before passing the mic first to Michelle Lee and then to Paul Kim, I will like to thank some of our major supporters of this event and the Asia North 2020 online exhibition. Station North Arts District, especially Mara Dwyer, the William G. Baker Memorial Fund, Maryland State Arts Council, Mike Schechter, Still Point Theater, Charm City Night Market, Motor House, North Avenue Market, Asian Arts and Culture Center members, citizens of Baltimore County, PNC Bank, WYPR, TD Bank, Towson University, BTU, Presidential Priority, Maryland Institute College of Art, MICA, Johns Hopkins University, Neighborhood Design Center, Baltimore Kawasaki Sister Cities Committee, Baltimore Changwon Sister Cities Committee, and Akyung Lee. Now I'd like to briefly introduce Michelle Lee, who is the Korean community advocate extraordinaire who Jack just referred to briefly. Michelle Lee, as an employee of MICA, is especially active in promoting projects that celebrate the Charles North neighborhood's history and identity as a Koreatown. She's been our go-to person since we started planning Asia North in 2017. She's a great connector who always has valuable advice and suggestions about shaping the project and makes time to help us make important connections in the Korean community. So I'd like to take this moment to briefly recognize, thank, and honor Michelle for her invaluable contributions to Asia North. And I invite you to raise your glasses and clap your hands for Michelle Lee.
Thank you, Jack and Joanna. As a first-generation Korean immigrant, I have been working as an accountant at the Maryland Institute College of Art, MICA, for 12 years. Station North is a very special place to me. Beginning 5 years ago, I and Station North Art and Entertainment Inc. organized the Be More Soul to Soul event with support from MICA's Community Engagement Office, and have since organized many other community-based events. This Asia North event is another step toward development of the Station North area into a center for Asian food, arts, and culture in Baltimore. Thanks to all involved for shining lights on Baltimore's own thriving Asian community.
So now it's my pleasure to introduce Paul Kim. Paul Kim is a producer, musician, and filmmaker who studied at the Maryland Institute College of Art with a degree in video and film in 2008. His grandfather established the first Korean business in Baltimore, the Seoul Rice Cake Shop. Paul assisted the Asian Arts and Culture Center with documenting the history of Baltimore's Koreatown. He contributed his documentary video about Seoul Rice Cake Shop to the Asian North online exhibition, and his grandfather was the subject of the impressive mural that looks over the Koreatown neighborhood. Paul will share his memories about the mural and continue as co-host of tonight's program.
All right. Hello. I'm on, right? Sorry. Hello, everyone. I'm Paul Kim. I guess I should introduce myself real quick. I am an artist, a filmmaker, producer from Baltimore. I went to MICA and studied video and film. I was asked to talk about the history of my grandfather's mural and how it all started. So originally, the mural wasn't supposed to be my grandfather. So an artist named ECB, I think he was from Germany, but he came down during, I think it was Open Walls in 2014, and he painted, he went around the world and painted murals on like big buildings, and he came to Baltimore. And originally the painting was supposed to have been my mother, and she just said no. And she said thank you, but no thank you. And you know, he was in my parents' store at the time talking, and then it was like, I was like, all right, cool, I asked. And then he was about to leave. And then my dad kept a picture of my grandmother and my grandfather in the store. And he literally about to walk out the door, and he saw my grandfather's picture, was like, who's that? And then my dad's like, that's my father. He was like, oh, really? And I think it was better that my grandfather was up there instead of my mother. And to be honest, it's because, you know, my grandfather was one of the first people to establish the Korean, I guess, the business, you know, what is known as Koreatown now. And he helped establish it. And then like my dad and my uncle kind of started the business and kept it going. But my grandfather was definitely one of the first founders of the Koreatown. So I think it was right for his face to be painted. And I just feel like it just has more meaning, you know, instead of just like a random Asian or a random Korean person, you know? So, but yeah, that's the whole story of it. You know, I think it was interesting when you talk to people, and I'll be like in Baltimore randomly, and then I'll overhear somebody be like, yeah, that's an awesome mural. And I'll just like slowly just creep in the conversation, like, you know who that is, right? And like, no, like, and I just like, it's really interesting, like, to hear like people's opinions on who it is. It's like a big mystery. People are like, who is that Asian man? You know, an old Asian guy, you know, must be somebody important. And, you know, and frankly, he was so important, you know, just because, you know, he helped start not just the Koreatown, but in general, like just open the door to other, you know, businesses to start in that town. So, yeah, that's the story.
Thanks, Paul.
No problem.
For sharing that. So that could have been a very different image.
Yes, it could.
On that wall. I'm just trying to picture it now, and like, actually, it would be fun to, you know, see, you know, if you could share an image. I'd love to see a picture of your grandmother or your mom, or, you know,
yeah,
what that would have been like. But thank you so much for sharing that.
No problem.
Hello, friends. I'm Narisa Paglanawan, Program Manager at the Asian Arts and Culture Center at Towson University and curator of this year's Asia North exhibition, Tradition, Memory, Transformation, which you can view online at towson.edu/Asia North. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. Here we are again, bringing you the Asia North Festival virtually as we continue to keep each other safe by social distancing. And I hope everyone continues to wear their masks to protect each other and bring an end to this pandemic sooner rather than later. And it would be great just to have all of us, all the artists and performers, be in the same room with them. And I hope that we can do that next year, again, sooner rather than later. If you are unfamiliar with the Asian Arts and Culture Center, the center's mission is to engage our surrounding communities in cross-cultural dialogue, to increase understanding of the world's diverse cultures, to strengthen cultural competency and challenge stereotypes, Diverse representation in the arts is so important. Having diverse stories represented is so important to acknowledging and understanding our differences, our commonalities, our diverse experiences, and each other. We are honored to present some of these diverse voices through the Asia North Festival. Our first performer of the evening is Sebastian Wang, director of the Washington Samulnori, which presents exciting folk rhythms of Korea with 4 percussive instruments: the chango, which is the hourglass-shaped drum, the buk, which is a barrel drum, the jing, which is the large gong, and the gengari, which is a small gong. Wang was born in Washington, D.C., and has lived in Maryland most of his life. He encountered Samulnori when he was 6 years old and started taking private lessons when he was 9. He began performing with the group when he was 14, performing at various local universities, as well as the Kennedy Center. After graduating from high school, he continued his study at the Korea National University of Arts in Seoul, Korea, under renowned Samulnori founder and master Kim Duk-soo. After graduating from the university, Sebastian returned to the States and began teaching and performing in the local Washington, D.C. area. We welcome to the Asia North Festival, Sebastian Wang.
Hello, good evening. My name is Sebastian Wang. I am a director of Washington Samulnori, a local Korean percussion group here based in the DC area. I'm very happy today to be part of the Asia North Festival, and I know that these are very trying times for everyone, and I'm glad that we're able to share our music and our arts through this festival. To tell you a little bit about what you'll be seeing before I perform, I'd like to introduce this instrument in front of me. This instrument is called the chango. It is a Korean traditional drum that is still used today, and I'll be performing a form of music known as Samulnori. Samulnori literally means the playing of 4 things. Chango, which is one of the 4, and the other 3 are the buk, the barrel drum, the gengari, the small gong, and the jing, the large gong. And these 4 instruments make up an ensemble of percussionists that perform folk music. And this folk music has been in Korean culture for thousands of years. However, it was modernized and contemporarized into the late 1970s and is about 40 years old, a little bit older than 40 years old, and is very popular all over the world to this day. To tell you a little bit about the chango is a drum made out of wood, paulownia wood. It's very light and hard. It's hollow on the inside, and it has a low side and a high side. Held together with strings and hooks and tuned with these leather badges here. The chango is traditionally played with 2 sticks in folk music, one of which, this mallet here, is made out of bamboo root, and it is flexible, so we're able to play it at high strength without breaking. The same goes to the other mallet, or with the stick I should say. It is made out of a piece of bamboo cut to the hand and with a thinner part towards the end, and it is also flexible. The chango is used in many forms of Korean traditional performing art, including folk music that I'm going to play, as well as accompaniment for dance, singing, and other performing arts. The piece I'll be playing today is called Samdo Soljango, and I'll be playing an excerpt of this piece. Samdo Soljango literally means jungle rhythms of the 3 main provincial areas in Korea, in South Korea. And it's a sampling of the various rhythms that are available to play on the chango. You'll see a lot of build up and breakdown of rhythms as I play, and you'll see a lot of dynamic motions as we go along. I hope you enjoy my little performance today and taste of Korean culture, and thank you so much. Again, it is my pleasure to be participating in the Asian North Festival, and I hope you enjoyed my performance, and please continue to support the arts, and thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you.
So thank you, Sebastian, for that great performance, and I'm glad you could join us live tonight. And one aspect of the Washington Samulnori performing, you opened the Asian North Festival last year, and we've presented you up at Towson University, and
Yes.
your performances are so energetic and also involves the audience. So I was hoping that you could go over some of the exclamations you teach the audience to like yell out approval during your performances.
Yeah, so these shouts outs or kind of words of encouragement are kind of a part of Korean percussion performance watching, actually. Very similar to rock concerts or jazz concerts. When you like what you're hearing, you actually let the audience, the performers know. And very similar to the rock concert, you see someone shout out, "Yeah, woo!" Those kind of things. We have that in Korean culture as well, and it's a vital component for us. And some of our versions are very similar, just raw emotion. For example, "Ui" is one of them, or "Ah." Other words are actual words like yes or great. We have one called "좋다," which means great or awesome. And these are vital because it encourages the performers to do as they're performing, and also it's sort of an acknowledgement by the audience that the performers are doing well. And so therefore, when a performance is silent, that means there's actually a bad performance. So hopefully that doesn't happen too much, but I hope people were energized by my performance this evening.
So was that, I just remembered my favorite one from last time. So it was Jota, is that right?
Yes, Jota, J-O-T-A. Yes, Jota means good or great. And oftentimes when I teach this one, I say it with a lot of girth, and we say, Jota, for example.
Jota!
Exactly. Yes.
Great. And we do have one audience question.
Sure, of course.
Is the drumming paired with vocals traditionally?
It can be. The hourglass drum, the chango, can be used as an accompaniment for singers. And for folk singing, as well as storytelling, a Korean pansori, for example, or minyo, which is the folk singing. So the chango is actually one of the most widely used instruments in Korean traditional performing arts, and it's used in many different variations of music. And yes, for singing as well, but not directly. If I was singing, it can be done, but if I was singing a folk song, but primarily done as accompaniment.
And then also in your performances with ensemble, in what we saw tonight, you were just sitting down, but often you're also standing, like dancing in a circle.
Yes. So the sitting down version is the more modern version, which what Samulnori is most widely known for. However, the standing version is more of what the originals of the farmers' band music was like. It was played standing in groups with large hats on top. Korea is one of the only nations that does dancing, playing, and spinning simultaneously while performing. But it's all rooted in sort of a base motion of basic body rhythm. And it's in the olden days, and it's still done today, it's done in large groups like marching bands here. However, in some of the groups are much smaller and a little more technical. So that's what the little difference is there, yes.
Great. And is your group able to practice together at all during this pandemic? Have you found a way to rehearse virtually or gather?
Unfortunately, no. It's been very crippling for us, not being able to practice and to converse, to be together because it is an ensemble. We literally feed off each other as we're playing and complement each other as we're playing. So it's been a very weird experience not being able to play together for quite some time.
Well, I hope that as I said before, we all need to wear our masks so that we can get rid of this pandemic, and hopefully there'll be, hopefully we can get together soon again.
So we can do this in person, and I can hear your cheers out there in the internet, interwebs.
Thanks, Sebastian.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
And now Paul Kim will introduce our next artist.
Our next presenter is Navab, an Iranian-American artist based in Fairfax, Virginia, born and raised in Iran. She moved to the United States in her early 30s. She served in the medical profession for many years before she found her passion for art. Navab received a BFA with a major in painting and MFA in printmaking from George Mason University. She has participated in national and international workshops with Masters of Fine Art in Europe and America. Her works have been presented in local, national, and international galleries in China, Hong Kong, Iran, and Turkey. For Naid, art became a means of communication, a bridge to reach others and for others to connect to her. In each of Naid's paintings and handprints, there exist expressive, colorful stories that grow out of Naid's cross-cultural experiences. As a seasoned world traveler and an individual profoundly influenced by Persian history and literature, Naid skillfully blends cultures from across the globe to create artwork infused with a synthesis of heritage and contemporary urban life. Navab's works represent her belief that art is a conduit for social change. We welcome to the screen Naid Navab.
Art for social change. I'm so thrilled to be here, be part of this exhibition. And Narisa, to the Asian Arts and Culture Center at Towson University, Asian North 2020 Festival, and other supporters and organizers, and community of art lovers in Baltimore area. For me, visual art is the way of communication, a bridge that connecting me to other people. I'm a storyteller. I try to trace my memories and thoughts in layers of lines, forms, and calligraphy-coded paintings and drawings in search for hidden meanings. This practice has transpired in an ambiguous yet serene way. The layers I add to each piece narrate my life stories. The major influence on my art are Persian calligraphy and miniature paintings. Many of my tales are inspired by the political and social life of people of Middle East. My art reflects my interest in global unity, social justice, freedom of expression, and women's issues. My work presents my belief that art is a conduit for social change. I learned from and admire women characteristics from prehistoric time to the present moment. One of those are Goddess Hila from Isfahan. Goddess Hila is a young, ageless, outspoken goddess, poet, and storyteller. She is fighting for equality and justice. My body myself is inspired by acclaimed Iranian artist Gulshifte Farahani, who pursued her goals and her career in spite of all the pressures and discrimination against women. Persian calligraphic doodling flows naturally into my prints, though most of the written shapes are not actual accessible characters. Over the course of history, many words have lost their meanings, either through misunderstandings or perhaps manipulative abuse. In my works, there is a visual conversation separate from the known. Khat naqashi means line painting. Strong, semi-written elements formed on the surface of my silk screen invite interaction. I have discovered my deep bond with Persian poetry, and it unfolds through the free dance of my brush. They symbolize the rich cultural heritage in some works, while in others they represent the dominant Sharia law. In one, a poetic breeze, in another, a sharp splash. After COVID-19 crisis and Black Lives Matter, the sense of connection and belonging to a universal community, the sense of belonging to a universal community is getting much stronger than past. I believe artists could help make this transition much more easier and understandable. The acknowledgement that human beings in general pursue similar quests and perspectives, a better life, healthier environment, and stronger connection in local and global level. We people from different background, tradition, and beliefs, far from walls and borders, could build better life together. Thank you.
Have to hit that unmute button. Thank you, Navab, for being with us tonight.
Thank you. Thank you, Narissa. I really appreciate this program, the whole project. It's really amazing for me.
Thank you for sharing your beautiful work with us. Just a reminder, you can see her work again on our website at towson.edu/Asian North. We have a question from the audience. Can you repeat the name of the female inspiration for one of the paintings you mentioned? Can you speak more to that? It might have been, so one of the female inspirations.
Part of my works, like a series of work, I selected women, for me, goddesses of this age, and somehow present them as goddesses in mythology, in past time, and just a prehistoric time. One of them was Gulshifte Farahani. She's artist, actor. She had hard time to be herself and present her work. She had to run away from Iran and continue her work in a place that she didn't know the language, and she had no connection. She's very successful, and her works are in many biennials, like Venice Biennial. Also, the other work that I selected, again, mythology and new age, this time heroes for me, like quote unquote heroes. The other one is Hila. She's from Isfahan. She's a poet and she's a very brave girl. I selected her as a bird that they hurt her, but still she's alive and she's beautiful.
Thank you. Now, you mentioned in one of your artist statements, living in exile, art came to your life as a healer, belonging to both East and West in a world full of conflict. Art is your personal, social, and political refuge. It is a place that you can hear your voice. It is a bridge to reach others and for others to connect with you. So, we are all experiencing turmoil in our world right now. And how are you expressing the current turmoil in your work currently?
One of the great things I found against all of the very strange situation with COVID-19, but especially when Black Lives Movement Matters happened, this movement, it really very shocking for me because I found out that I have very little information about the society that I am excited. I mean, living in this place, but I have very little about history of these people and how. But somehow I found out that the pressure which is on the people can affect everybody. And that's very obvious in this moment of history in America. And this is very precious thing to know, to recognize that something is not right. And we need to find solution. And this solution is not only me, it's all of us. It's universal. It's people around the world, especially the place that I'm living. I have to be more responsible about the society. And I think the people who were maybe without them knowing that they were not responsible for other people, what's happened around the world, what's happening here. And we have to be more in charge and get together, all of us. That's my feeling. And now I feel more connected to other people.
Do you feel like there is an open dialogue? I don't know how connected the Iranian American community is around here, but do you feel like there is more open dialogue now about with Black Lives Matter, with just understanding cross-culturally?
Personally, just talking with my friends, basically, and all of these Zoom connection, I see they talk about the history, they talk about the things that they don't know and they need to know more. And they are very much caring. But in general, I can't say in public because it's not in the media. Unfortunately, media is not in our hand. So we have little information about the general population of Iranian in here.
Well, I thank you so much again for sharing your beautiful work with us and for being here tonight. And I hope again that we can see your work in person next time.
Thank you very much, really. I really enjoyed working with all of you. Very beautiful. Thank you.
Now, this next segment is sure to make you very hungry. Heather Chung of Brown Rice Korean Grill will show us how to make chicken barbecue and bibimbap. After that, Ayaka Takao, bartender at the Crown, will show us how to make the refreshing cocktail called the Crown Dreamsicle. And we'll also hear from Michael Young, general manager of the Crown. Unfortunately, the Crown remains closed due to the pandemic, so Mikey will let you know how you can still support this popular Koreatown hotspot. But first, here's CBP's Jack Dana to lead us in. Take it away, Jack.
One home. Let's check it out.
Hello, my name is Heather Zhang from Brown Rice Korean Grill. We located 2440 Charles Street. I'm introducing the chicken barbecue and a spicy chicken barbecue and how to make bibimbap later on. So here's the ingredients for the bulgogi. Here's the 4 ounces chopped onion and 2 ounces of garlic and 2 ounces of sugar. This is 2 ounce cup. This is gluten-free soy sauce and tamari soy sauce. And this is house wine. You can use any like white wine. Applesauce, and this is a pear. And this is 200 ml water. You can use a blender at home, or if you don't have a blender, you can use a food processor. Some people like spicy sauce, so I just added habanero. This is really good, spices. And this is Thai chili pepper and also Korean dried pepper. This is good. Garlic, tamari soy sauce, and wine, applesauce, and pear, and sugar. Now we're gonna prepare the chicken. So I usually use a chicken thigh because it has more flavor. Just cut a little bit of thin. So we will pour the sauce right here and making nicely. And this need to be overnight. So This is the chicken. I marinate overnight, so this is ready to cook. Great. So we're gonna cook in here at the first, and we will finish at the top broiler. Nice and golden brown. So we'll finish here, right here. If you have a grill outside, this is gonna be great. But if you don't have a grill, you have to finish in here. Right here. Wow, look at the nice and smoky, both of them. All right, I think this is ready. I'm gonna put some scallion on it. Perfect. So I'm gonna make a bibimbap, which is a Korean traditional. I just put the half and half rice, white rice and brown rice. Whatever you have at your house, you can just use any kind of vegetable. Just a little bit more here. Okay, this is the way I love to make my bibimbap. Oh my, wow, I smell the smoking right here. Great. I'm gonna use the sesame soy sauce a little bit, but not too much. If you put too much sauce in it, it'll kill the old flavor. So a little bit of sesame, spicy mayo right here. And of course, you're gonna use a gochujang sauce. This is traditional. So a little bit of sesame oil, just a little bit more, not too much. And a sesame seed a little bit. So we're ready to eat.
Hi everyone, it's Ayaka. Today I'm going to show you how to make the crown dreamsicle. Here we have a bottle of Sprite, a bottle of soju, a few cut citruses, an orange dreamsicle, and some ice. First I'm going to put the citrus, line the citrus in the cup, like this. I hope everyone's doing well. Make it cute. And then open your popsicle. It's a bit melted because it's really hot. Throw that guy in there. Then I know everyone doesn't have a measuring device at home, so you're going to do approximately 2 ounces of soju. 1, 2. Sprite. Mix it up. There you have it, your crown dreamsicle. Oh, if you want it to be even colder, you can put ice in it. Thank you so much for watching. Now here's Mikey.
Thanks, Ayaka. Hi, I'm Mikey from The Crown. Just going to say a few things. Basically, I want to thank Asia North and Station North for having us tonight, and we are really excited to be a part of the event. After the show tonight, we also have another event. It's an unofficial after party, Searching for Something. You can find the links out on for the stream on at The Crown Baltimore on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. Also, due to the pandemic, we're still closed, and if you're able to donate, we still have our GoFundMe up, so we'd really appreciate some donations for the GoFundMe. And anyways, thank you very much.
Next, from the Asian North 2020 exhibition, Tradition, Memory, Transformation, we welcome Indonesian American artist Nico Gozal. Nico Gozal's cross-cultural art, Nico Gozal's cross-cultural art training includes the Budi Harjo School of Fashion in Jakarta, Indonesia, as well as the International Academy of Merchandising and Design in Tampa, Florida. Gozal draws his inspiration from elements of Central Java and Balinese traditional art and culture, including Javanese wayang shadow puppets, Javanese batik motifs, and Balinese wood carving design. He hopes to bring a modern twist to Javanese and Balinese culture and introduce them to the rest of the world. Let's welcome Nico Gozal to Station North Shines.
Hi, my name is Nico Gozal. Welcome to my home studio. Let me start with telling you a little bit about my background. I came to the US about 30 years ago. I came from Indonesia, and more specifically, West Java. After graduated from college, I have the privilege to work for an accomplished silk artist in Tampa, Florida. Her name is Jane Marie Lewis, and I worked for her as her assistant for 8 years. That's when I studied pretty much everything that I need to know about silk painting. After 8 years working for her, I took a break from the art world pretty much to do the 9 to 5, regular job. And it wasn't until 2015 when I decided that I'd like to go back to my art, and that's when I started doing my own line of artwork. In general, my body of work can be categorized into 3 categories: commercial, socio-political, and personal. You can check out my portfolio on my website, which is nicogsilkart.com. And this evening, I'd like to go over with you one of my more personal pieces, the piece that's included in the Asia North 2020 exhibit. So as an immigrant, after living in the new country for a while, one of the part that I miss most is the traditional Indonesian culture that I left behind. Of course, when I lived there as a young adult or teenagers, I don't really care too much about studying the Indonesian culture because I'm so involved in the influence of Western culture. So when I started my own artwork, that's when I began to study more about the Indonesian traditional art and design. When I went back to visit in 2010, we went to Java and Bali, and that's when I become more inspired to incorporate imagery from Javanese ancient batik design and wayang puppet artistry, or also known as shadow puppet, as well as the Balinese traditional art, whether it's dances, music, carving, stone and wood carvings. So the piece that I want to highlight this evening is called Batik Parang Rama and Sinta. This piece is influenced by 2 of Japanese art, the wayang puppet, and one of the most Japanese batik motifs, parang. Let's start with Rama and Sinta. They're lovers. They are 2 main characters of the Ramayana, which Ramayana is one of 2 major Sanskrit epic from ancient India, actually, which has been adopted by the Japanese to become part of their traditional theater piece. In Java, this story of Ramayana were adopted into their famous wayang puppet show. And traditionally, the puppets are made out of hand-carved and hand-painted buffalo hide. It's mounted on the bamboo sticks, and the performance is held by the puppet master behind a white screen, which made out of cloth. And then they have an oil lamp or light bulb as a source of light behind the puppet master. So the audience sit actually on the other side of the screen, and what they're watching are the movement of the shadows, and that's why it was called shadow puppet. I have with me an example of the actual the wayang puppet itself, made out of buffalo hide. This is a miniature replica. The actual puppet that they use for the performance are quite large. Now, as you can see, the two characters that I have in my painting directly inspired from the design of this wayang puppet. Now, the other element on this painting is batik parang. Batik parang is one of the oldest batik motif in Indonesia. There are various reincarnations of batik parang, but they all have a similar characteristic, one of which is the diagonal slope on a 45-degree angle. And the design itself, it's a repetitive representation of the shape of the letter S, which symbolizes wave of the ocean, which continuously move forward to the shore, one after another. So parang itself, the motif is represent the human spirit of never giving up. It symbolizes the ongoing human desire to fight and to achieve our goals. In this particular piece, I choose earth tone color scheme, which pretty close to the traditional batik color scheme. Now, the last element on this painting is this black and white checkered background. I took the inspiration from Bali. This cloth is called poleng, which is a black and white checkered cloth commonly found wrapped around statues, carving of deities and gods in Bali. This fabric represents the balance in the world between the dark and light, good and evil, and of course the gray area symbolizes all the grays that comes between dark and light. I do these more personal pieces because, of course, it represents my culture, but also I'd like to introduce use it to introduce a very small fraction of Indonesian traditional art, hoping that it will pique the viewer's curiosity to actually learn more and look into the story behind all of these elements and get familiar more with Indonesian traditional art. So that's pretty much my presentation for this evening, and I am looking forward to answering all of your questions during our Q&A section. Thank you.
Welcome again to Station North Shines Asia North 2020. Thank you so much for being with us tonight.
Thank you for having me. I truly appreciate being included in this wonderful exhibit.
Now, for someone unfamiliar with the term, what is batik? What is the history of batik?
Batik is actually a technique used to create a design on a fabric. We use wax. It's a resist technique. So wax is applied to the fabric to block the dye to absorb. So to create various color, we apply the wax on various area, one color after another. That's what batik actually is, even though these days people recognize batik is actually as the motif of the fabric, but it's actually the technique of making it.
So the term is used interchangeably now?
Yeah.
Okay. So have you now, you described to us the parang motif. What are some other batik motifs you incorporate in your work and their meanings?
One that's very famous also is Mega Mendung, which is the cloud design. I think in traditional Chinese painting also they have the similar version of the clouds. It's similar looking, but Indonesia have a specific design that called Mega Mendung that I really like to incorporate. And the other stuff are usually figures of the birds of paradise, for instance, various flower like hibiscus and orchids. Yeah.
Now, what drew you to silk painting? How did you follow? What drew you to that art form?
Well, originally because I ended up working for that silk artist in Tampa, Florida after I graduated from college. So as an artist, I think the one modalities that I'm very familiar with is silk painting. The other stuff like, acrylic, pastels, I studied it at school, but I never really get into it that in depth. So that's why I just continue on the silk painting art form as my medium, because that's what I'm very familiar with. Yeah.
There was a comment from a viewer that said, up close, your painting looked like it was 3D, the effect of it on the screen.
Oh, thank you.
And another viewer wants to know if you can talk a bit more about living in the USA versus Indonesia.
Well, when I first moved here, it's completely different because in Indonesia 30 years ago, we are under a dictatorship government. And so people in my generation, they move abroad to kind of escape that. And sad to say that 30 years later, I feel like we are in this country in the verge of dictatorship.
Right. So, and hopefully come November, we can stop that.
Exactly. Yep.
So everybody go out and vote.
Yes. Free painting for those who vote.
And wear your mask.
Yeah, exactly.
I think those are all the questions. I'm going through the questions, making sure. Yes, so again, thank you for being with us tonight. And as I've been saying tonight, I hope we can get together soon and see your beautiful work in person.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
Next up is a performance by musician Ellen Zhang. Ellen has been playing Guzheng, the Chinese zither, for 8 years with her teacher, Xiaoping. She has performed at many venues, including Carnegie Hall, the Arthur M. Sackler Gallery, local senior centers, and many more. She looks forward to performing and introducing Chinese culture to those that may not be familiar with the Guzheng. The piece Ellen will be performing tonight is Endless Yearning by Wang Jianmin. This song is based on a poem written by the well-known Chinese poet Li Bai. In this poem, he describes a famous general from the Tang Dynasty thinking about his lover on a fall night. Throughout the song, you will see how the composer uses unique variations of speeds and melodies to portray this feeling of longing. That was absolutely gorgeous. Thank you so much, Ellen Zhang, for performing for Station North Shine's Asia North 2020. And
thank you so much
tonight.
for inviting me. Thank you.
Now, I have so many questions, but how did you first come to play the Guzheng? Did you grow up listening to Guzheng music? Did you have one in your house? How did you start?
So I actually became interested in Guzheng through my mom's own experience. She always wanted to play Guzheng since she was a little girl, but due to not being able to access the instrument as well as the cost, she wasn't able to do it until later on. So we had a Guzheng lying around in our house, and I saw her play it a few times. And through that, I was intrigued and I wanted to learn more. So I basically begged her to sign me up for classes.
And I'm curious to see what your sheet music looks like. Does it look like, the Western notation, or do you have the, so do you learn by listening, or do you actually have notes to play in front of you?
So the Guzheng score is a little bit different from something that you would find for piano or flute, because we actually use a system that is based on numbers. I'm not so sure if you can see it through the camera, but we use a number system instead of the regular music staffs that you would see for piano. So that's definitely something that sets Guzheng apart from typical Western music. In addition, a lot of Western music typically uses a scale that has 7 notes, but the Guzheng is actually based off of a pentatonic scale, so it only has 5 notes. And that's why we use a lot of variations with our right and left hand to sort of make up for that 2-note loss.
Now, do you use, was it a pick? Do you use picks to pluck it, or just your fingers?
So we actually have these picks. They're very similar to something that you would see on a guitar player when they have those guitar picks. They're very similar in terms of shape and size, but how we use them is a little bit different. So I'm not so sure if you can see through the camera, but we actually have a nail, and it's connected to our finger with a special type of adhesive tape. And we use that to essentially pluck the string and sort of just touch the string without exactly harming our fingers.
Now, how do you play? Mostly solo, or you play in an ensemble with other Guzheng players? What's the history of the Guzheng, and is it what types of ensembles do you play with?
Mm-hmm. So the Guzheng is a Chinese plucked zither, and it originated all the way back from the Warring States period, and it eventually rose in popularity during the Qing dynasty. So it has a history of thousands of years. And through various changes, the Guzheng has become a more versatile instrument that can be played with many styles and techniques. So nowadays, from what I've seen, it's very popular for Guzheng players to perform as a soloist with some sort of piano, violin, or even an entire orchestra accompanying them. Personally, I've performed in groups of all sizes. I've played with groups of 3 to groups of 20 to 30 performers. So it really fits in any type of group dynamic.
Now, in this age of, virtual choirs and virtual orchestras, are you able to engage with other musicians and rehearse together somehow virtually?
So unfortunately now, it's very difficult for us to rehearse together, but I still take lessons consistently from my teacher through platforms like Zoom and FaceTime. So it definitely is still possible to continue learning, but when it comes to playing in a group, it's definitely not easy right now.
Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight and bringing your beautiful music with us. Do you have, will you be performing at all again virtually coming up?
That I am not so sure about, but if anyone is interested, they can search up Washington Guzheng Society, and a lot of our recent events or previous recordings are on that website. So if anyone is interested, they can go and take a look.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ellen.
Thank you for having me.
Beautiful music. So I guess we have come to the end of Station North Shines Asia North 2020. Wow, that went by very fast. Many thanks to artists Nahid Navab and Nico Gozal, musicians Sebastian Wang and Ellen Zhang, Heather Chung of Brown Rice Korean Grill, Michael Young and Ayaka Takao of The Crown, Koreatown Mayor Michelle Lee, and to my co-host Paul Kim. Don't forget to check out the Asia North 2020 exhibition online, along with a brief history of Baltimore's historic Koreatown at towson.edu/Asia North. Coming up this fall, we are launching the Asian Arts and Culture Center is launching our first virtual storytelling series called Our Stories Virtual Festival, connecting you to storytellers from around the world. We will also give you virtual access to the Asian Arts and Culture Center's fall exhibition, A Bag of Rocks for a Bag of Rice, an exhibition by Baltimore-based Taiwanese American artist Fan Hao. The installation can best be described as an optimistic post-apocalyptic Zen garden, so it should be very interesting. Joanna has already seen some of the work, and it's going to be a fantastic show, so stay tuned for that in the fall. Through this pandemic, we continue to work on more programming, so be sure to visit the Asian Arts and Culture Center's website at towson.edu/AsianArts and find us on social media for updates. Thank you to all our sponsors for making Asia North 2020 and tonight's live stream possible. Special shout out to Shannon, Kevin, and Greg of Human Being Productions for making the live stream magic happen, and to Station North Arts District for inviting us to be a part of this virtual art walk, and to all of you joining us across the interwebs tonight. And one last shout out to my fantastic colleagues, Joanna Picori, Jack Dana, and Maura Dwyer. Speaking of Maura, here she is to share some announcements from the Station North Arts District.
Thank you again to all our wonderful presenters, artists, and sponsors for the evening. Connecting with artists and audience members from near and far remind me why art is so important in this moment. Plus, it's really unique to have what feels like a personal concert in your own home. Although I feel like Ellen Zhang's final performance felt more like I was entering into a dream. I felt truly transported out of my living room while listening. I don't know about you guys. Reminder to check out the incredible online exhibit when you have a moment after the show tonight. I will put the link in the chat again for you. And final thank you to all of our amazing sponsors, our artists, our presenters. I am going to make a few announcements to close out the show tonight. We are happy to announce that Station North has fully integrated into Central Baltimore Partnership and is now an official program of CBP. Check out updates and news on our website at stationnorth.org and take a look at our new page, the Station North Arts District Black-Owned Businesses, Initiatives, and Organizations. And I'll go ahead and put that link in the chat as well. We're also working on an artist directory for the website, so look out for a survey to send to your membership if you fall within or near Station North's boundaries. We are thoughtfully planning virtual program for August into September now, with a consideration towards how to best serve our artists and entrepreneurs in the district. In the meantime, we're looking forward to collaborating with our partners and celebrating other arts districts across the city. Save the date for the last weekend in August for the Billie Holiday Music and Arts Festival on the west side, and on the east side, mark August 7th on your calendar for the Highlandtown First Friday Art Walk. Central Baltimore Partnership currently has a digital drive created in partnership with Code in the Schools and other local orgs to bridge the digital gap for students as they continue virtual learning. Please, please donate still functioning laptops, smartphones, tablets, even USB cords is helpful. I donated 2 laptops today. Students are really, really hurting right now and could use technical supplies. So if you have it, you can fill out a form and we will coordinate picking that up from you. We'll also put that in the chat. Couple more things. Lastly, typically during this time, we will be getting ready for Artscape with the Why Not Lot and watching artist booths pop up along Mount Royal. Instead, this year, BOPA has come up with a creative compromise. They just announced the Artscape Artist Market, which will take place as an online directory where artists can showcase, promote, and sell their work. The platform will feature artists from visual, performing, literary, and culinary arts, and will also include virtual artist talks. The applications are open now until next Friday, so they're open for another week. And I'll put the link in the chat as well. The actual marketplace will be up Friday, August 21st through Sunday, August 30th. So if you're looking to show your work and sell your work, that's a great opportunity to do so. They're going to have a ton of booths open for artists. Please follow Station North on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Station North, and our new home under Central Baltimore Partnership. And that's just at Central Baltimore Partnership. You can visit our website at stationnorth.org, and you can reach me with any questions or comments about upcoming programming at Station North at my new email, mdwyer@centralbaltimore.org. That'll also put in the chat. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And don't forget about the dance party later at the Crown with Searching for Something as a fundraiser for the Crown staff. We wish you a great evening.